Hello and welcome to the Astro Vibe of the Week. I am Shira. Let's get into it. To be honest with you, the energy for me right now, it's palpable. It's palpable. This is a really big week, and you might hear that a lot. This is a big week, it's a full moon, it's this, it's that. The big, huge thing, as you must already know, if you've been watching this, you've been following along for a while, Pluto on the 19th of November is going into Aquarius for the next 18 years. Pluto has been in the sign of Capricorn since 2008, and it is about to switch for good. We have had a couple of moments of Pluto going into Aquarius stuck. It's been retrograding and moving forward. This is the time where it moves forward and it stays forward for 18 years. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the sun moving into Sagittarius. Happy birthday season, Sagittarians. I am so happy for you. I feel like when the sun shifts into your natal sun sign, the energy just shifts and you're feeling good. You're doing good. The next thing to talk about is Mercury retrograde. Mercury is going retrograde on the 25th of November. So that's three major changes. The biggest one, obviously, is Pluto going into Aquarius. So let's talk about really quickly what Pluto's job is. Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio. Pluto is the detective of the planets in the wheel. It wants to look under the surface. It wants to peel away the illusions, peel away what seems like it might be true at first glance, but then dig a little deeper. Like it's web sleuth energy. If you've ever seen Don't Fuck with Cats, that's like the first thing I think about when I think about Pluto, is that documentary, Don't Fuck with Cats, where a normal human being, not a police officer, not a detective, like this woman saw a video on YouTube and became obsessed with it and wanted to find this person who fucked with cats. Okay. And she created a Facebook page and got like thousands of people to help her. And all of these people became these like detectives for the collective, detectives for the people. And that really is Plutonian energy when we're talking about it on this big scale. It's what can we find out? What is the truth that we can dig into so that we find the necessary information that we need in order to take down the forces that be that are corrupt. So it is like the force that helps us reveal corruption. Now, when Scorpio was in Capricorn, we saw a lot of reveals around financial institutions. Capricorn is the sign of money as well as Taurus, but it's a little bit different. It's more like the people in power, people who have large amounts of money. It is the patriarchy. It is the wounded masculine energy. Wounded Capricorn is greed, and it is this like power hungry energy. So Pluto went into Capricorn and it did the sleuthing and it did the detective work and it pulled out the lies, the illusions, the things that were corrupt. So we saw Bernie Madoff, who was he was basically doing like a financial investment scam. We had a housing market crash. There was a lot of corruption revealed around financial institutions, banks, and government events. Okay, so when you understand what happens when Pluto shifts into a sign, think about Pluto as the truth digging sleuth. The truth digging sleuth. So Pluto going into Aquarius is now going to dig up the truth around the Aquarian themes. So now we're talking about technology and we're talking about AI. We're talking about social media. We're talking about all of the ways that the enhancement of technology could lead to corruption or power dynamics that take power away from the people. I'm thinking something along the lines of like hidden cameras, watching us, and the amount of information that Facebook has about the collective, and all the ways that these big companies have been basically stealing the collective's information in order to create these Facebook ads that sell them things. So it's really about the discoveries that will be made around corruption of people, places, government authorities that have taken power away from the people. Aquarius is about the collective. Literally, it's about the power of the people. And as Pluto shifts into Aquarius on the big scale, there will be reveals around what kind of maleficent dark forces of power dynamics have been going on and are expanding. And the idea is they will be brought to justice. Aquarius also is looking for justice, equality, humanitarian efforts, the expansion of the people. So before we even get into the transition of Pluto into Aquarius, we're sitting the past 2 weeks now. Pluto is in Capricorn still at 29 degrees, and we've had some kind of shocking revelations, at least if you are in the US, around the change of hands of the presidency. There has been in the last couple days, Biden has sent money to Ukraine for like huge missiles to send to Russia. There's been some reveal and some new developments that are pretty intense. Okay, and I know that these tarot vibe of the week, it's usually more personal. I like to keep things personal. I like to keep things more internal because that's the work that I believe in. I believe that if you on an individual level are growing and expanding and healing, and you're doing the best that you can to be the best that you are, then the external world it doesn't matter as much as if you weren't doing the work, because you have a sense of sovereignty and you have a sense of personal power. Now, this is also what Aquarius shifting into Pluto is all about. It's about finding this sense of inner power and inner sovereignty and your own power dynamic versus the power dynamic of the government or the power dynamic of big business, power dynamic of big pharma. We're about to have some really big shifts in government. We're about to have some really big shifts in big pharma. We're about to have some really big shifts in cryptocurrencies because these are Aquarian themes, and there will be surprises coming forward. Some that might be amazing, some that might be hard to swallow. But when we're talking about Aquarius, we're talking about handing the power over to the people. So things might become more disruptive in the organizations that take away the power of the people. And the disruption is for the good because it is to change the hands back to the people, to the collective. What does this mean for you and your birth chart on an individual level? Well, if you had a cardinal Pluto was in Capricorn. So let's say you're a cardinal sign. You are Capricorn, Cancer, Libra, or Aries. Pluto goes through your birth chart, maybe hitting your sun, moon, rising, whatever you have those cardinal signs in, and Pluto being the detective, Pluto wanting to reveal corruption, goes through and reveals areas of illusion. Now, that's not to say that you were the corruptive one, though you could have been, right? Let's also take responsibility and accountability for ways in which we might be causing harm and like not realizing it all, because we're humans and we do the best that we can. And sometimes people get hurt from our actions. And it takes that in order to have a revelation around what needs to be changed or how we need to communicate better, how we need to be more honest. These are also air themes: communication, honesty, working with how we use our words and how we share information with each other, right? Aquarius, information. So as Pluto went through Capricorn and hit the cardinal signs, they experienced some challenging situations around where the power dynamic was not in their own hands, or where the power dynamic was not even in a way that was honest and truthful. And that causes some challenging, it causes some really looking honestly at ourselves, our actions, our behaviors, the kind of thoughts that we're thinking, the relationships that we're in. So as Pluto goes through, it shines this like magnifying glass light. It shows exactly where we are out of integrity. And that this is challenging when you realize you're out of integrity and you realize that you haven't turned over every stone of truth in your life, or when you've been in illusion, or when you just haven't wanted to like look at the truth. Once that truth gets revealed, it's hard to swallow, right? Like it's a little challenging when you get the mirror pointed back at you and you're like, oh shoot, in this toxic relationship, I was also toxic because I was allowing it. I was saying, yes, let's go, treat me badly. Or I was complaining and staying, right? So it's this reckoning, right? And I'm not trying to scare you, but there's a reckoning of a realization of our consciousness and how we can do better, how we can be more honest and more truthful with our heart and with our soul. Okay, so that could look on a big scale like government takedowns. It could look like the banking system. 2008, we had the housing crash, all of that, where corruption or things were not authentic, not in integrity. On a personal note, it might have been relationships that were out of integrity. It might have been friendships that were out of integrity. It might have been a job you were in that you did not want to be in, and you were staying in and you were complaining and having a miserable time, and then you get fired all of a sudden. It's like, whoa, okay, Pluto comes through and it moves things out of the way, and it's like a plunger. It like pulls the truth to the surface to show you, hey, listen, do you actually want this? Is this really aligned with you? Be honest. That's what Pluto wants more than anything. It's honesty. It's like the bringer of, like, I'm envisioning the death. It's death. It's the underworld. It's the darkness, but it's like the truth bringer, the death truth bringer. If this is not in integrity, then we are going to remove it. Pluto's gonna come in the cloak, in the black cloak, and be like, with its little, what does he carry? Like a tiny little axe thing, and he's like, and this is done now. Okay, so yeah, if you were a cardinal sign, you most likely went through a lot of this sort of revealing information, and hopefully it had you grow, and it had you become stronger than ever, and it had you stand more in your power than ever before, and discover what is for you, what's not for you, and be able to draw a line in the sand and say, this is my truth and I'm sticking with it. Now, if you are a fixed sign, you're about to experience that sort of reckoning of truth. Now, it's nothing really to be scary about, because if something's out of integrity, it's not gonna last whether Pluto goes into your sign or not, right? It's out of integrity. If something is corrupt, it's eventually, the truth eventually is gonna be revealed, no matter what, with Pluto or without Pluto. So Pluto kind of bringing some focus into the process of getting what is not in alignment, what is not in integrity, what is not true and real deep down to the bones. It's just going to help us see it. It's going to help us put on these like Plutonian truth glasses and say, okay, this doesn't work for you. So we're talking Aquarius, especially you. We're talking about Leo, we're talking about Taurus, and we're talking about Scorpio. So the fixed signs are going to feel this either as a conjunction, that would be Aquarius. If you have Sun, Moon, Rising in Aquarius, it's going to be a square. If you have Scorpio, Taurus, and it's going to be an opposition if you have Leo. So each of the fixed signs will experience truth being revealed. Now, Aquarius loves the truth. It wants the truth. And it also wants to find out what is right, and it wants to find out what is just. So anything that is personal in your life that's not just, it's not right, and you can just kind of feel it. It could be a relationship, it could be a friendship, it could be a business, it could be someone in your family that you have to kind of cut out. It could be a habit or a behavior, like maybe you're smoking, maybe you're drinking, there's some kind of addiction. Pluto can really help magnify that and help it clear in a more catalyzed way. So we're really just talking about being in integrity. And if you're doing this spiritual work, I'm not talking about spiritual bypassing or toxic positivity. I'm talking about if you are able to face the parts of yourself, the shadows, if you're able to face the parts of yourself that you have shame around, the thoughts that you have shame around, if you're able to face the parts of yourself that you are embarrassed of, if you are able to face the parts of yourself that feel like they don't fit into society, that that is the journey that you want to go on to expand your wholeness. Every part of you is important. Every part of you is welcome. It's just, who do you want to put in the driver's seat of your experience in your life? Your life is so important. Your life and your light is so important. And if you have your like inner critic in the driver's seat, or the part of you that is judging other people, or the part of you that is negative, or the part of you that is angry, this is the perfect time to do an audit of that. Why am I so angry? What is making me irritated? What do I need to remove from my life so that I feel more in alignment and I have more energy and I have more life to give? On the deepest way, that is what Pluto offers. The challenge in it is that you don't know what you don't know. So there's certain things like, I'm going to use the Wizard of Oz and Dorothy going down the yellow brick road for a second. Each of these characters, like the lion and the Tin Man, these characters are, oh, and the Scarecrow, they are part of Dorothy's subconscious. And she doesn't know them until she meets them. So you can't, right now, if you are a fixed sign, you can't be like, you can do whatever you want, but I wouldn't advise being like on the hunt and on the edge of your seat and like really anxious, being like, okay, I'm on the lookout and I'm ready for when, you know, misinformation comes out from a friend, and being like sort of in this fight or flight response. because there will be things that you don't know now. There's no way for you to know them now because Pluto hasn't come. So you don't need to stress about it. All you need to do, all you get to do, all you are going to want to do is when information is revealed to you, use your higher self, use your heart energy, your inner knowing of what is in your highest and best to make the decisions and go from there. Right now, we don't have the information. It's like I can talk about all the astrologers, we can talk about this is what could happen when Pluto goes into Aquarius. None of us are mind readers. If anyone's telling you exactly what's going to happen, they don't actually know. They are guessing. It's like all the astrologers that made political guesses and said this is exactly what's going to happen and then they turned out to be wrong. They don't really know. We don't know. We're not psychics. Um and it's important to understand that. And this is also part of the Aquarian reveal is that the journey in your life experience, it is going to be unique to you and authentic to you. And though you can have guides and mentors and support, at the end of it, in the truth of it all, it's coming from your personal inner knowing. So if there's one piece of advice I would give, it would be to practice connecting to the part of you that trusts yourself. I could use the word intuition, but we're really talking about self trust. And when you are at a point in your life where there is a truth revealed, which will happen, leaning into your power, your sovereignty, your ability to trust yourself. Now let's go to Sagittarius. So the sun's about to move to Sagittarius, and that is going to be later this week on November 21st. This is a really supportive, wonderful, feel good vibe. Sagittarius is the warmth, the fire in the darkness. So Sag helps bring the light, and Sag wants information. It wants to expand and grow just the way Aquarius wants information. It's just a little different because Sagittarius is this like it has an insatiable hunger for knowledge and truth and expansion, and it wants to really have a super open mind of all the different ways of living and ways of being and philosophies in the world and maybe even outside of the world. So Sag also has this keen ability to find the silver lining. And I really hope that that is what we're going to be able to tap into on a collective level, where we're looking for the good. We're looking for the good in our friends. We're looking for the good in the society. We're looking for the good in what we can do and the part we can put in to the changes that we want to see Aquarius in the future. Sag is that friend when like everybody else is depressed or sad or like having a really hard time. Sag comes along and reminds us that there is good and that there is a light and that that we all have this spark of light. Each human being has this inner spark of light and inner spark of good. And that Sagittarius job is to find the good, and it's to also find the lightness and the humor in hardship, in hard times. So Sagittarius, happy birthday. Thank you for being here. We are so grateful for you and the energy that you bring, the fun that you bring, the good supportive vibes that you bring. Then we have Mercury going retrograde on the 25th of November, which I believe is next Monday. And we all know what Mercury retrograde feels like in like the external, where Sometimes your tech might get a little messy, your emails might get a little messy, you might find that your computer's acting funny or your Instagram's acting funny. Big deal, right? Like, okay, whatever. We have Pluto going into Aquarius. Use the Mercury retrograde as a time to review on what you want to keep in your life and what you want to let go of. Okay? Mercury retrograde, mind reflection. Mercury, the mind retrograde, reflection, review. All right, so we have a massive change in the world, internally and externally, around information, around our energy, around how we think, how we do life. Pluto going into Aquarius. And then right after, we have Mercury retrograde. So I feel like the Mercury retrograde situation is going to help us just like slow down. It's like we've got four horses and we're like, like running through the fields. And one horse is like, no, 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 this is too fast. I see a cliff. I see a cliff in the distance. And, it's like, nay, it pulls back and all the horses just slow down. And we just take a pause so that we don't jump off a cliff. And we can just take a moment to breathe, know that everything's going to be okay. Everything is good. It's going to be better than we could have ever imagined, as long as we are the ones that are creating our reality with the power of our mind. Our thoughts, our words, the things that we are thinking and saying out loud are making a massive impact on our life experience, because your brain is literally wired to show you more of what you are thinking about. That's the system called reticular activating system in your brain, and that is a Mercury energy. So reflect on the kind of things you're saying to yourself, the kind of things you're thinking. Are you doomsdaying? Because you're going to get doomsday. If you think doomsday, you're going to get doomsday. If you think about your ability to create peace, to create love, to create light, you are going to get that. I'm going to close it here. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched all the way through, I love you times a million. Comment below, especially if you are a fixed sign. Like, what are you focusing on? What are you calling in? If you're Sagittarius, comment below. Happy birthday. Tell us when your birthday is. And if this landed with you, comment below. I so appreciate if you like this video. It just helps the algorithm. It helps me. It helps the collective, because we need more people who have your mind finding each other. If you're watching this video, we have an alignment, right? So we want to find more people with that same alignment. So get out there, be the light. I love you so much, and I will see you on the other side.